Connections with Angie. Connect purpose, spirit, love, wealth, and networking. Relax and chill. Caffeine and Connections with Angie.
And we're back.
I like that intro.
I love it. Don't you?
The vocals. We in a little coffee shop. The Caffeine and Connections. I feel like we actually in one.
It's a vibe.
It is.
It's a complete vibe. So I'm loving the fact that that's a new visual. Shout out to DJ Scott Free who created that visual for me, and shout out to Billy Dabbs who created the music. So
Hey.
my friends love me.
I see.
They want to see Caffeine Connections pop. So here we are. We are back with our Caffeine and Connections highlight. I'm going to say this is highlight number 6. I'm Angelina Griffin, and I am your host of Caffeine and Connections. And I am here with Mr. Jerry Jones. Just to let you all know, Caffeine and Connections is our spot for us to be authentically us. We're sharing the story, Black professionals everywhere. We actually meet every Friday for a meetup, but this is an opportunity for us to come here to YouTube to share individual stories, to highlight the Black business professionals so we can get a chance to know more about them. Right? So, Jerry, we're here to learn more about you. You've been coming to Caffeine and Connections for a while now.
Look, it feels like I was just in my first one not too long ago. So if you're watching, you got to join us on Fridays, bright and early at 8. But you're gonna have your caffeine, so you're gonna be fine.
It's awesome. So yeah, when you joined us, it was maybe just several months ago.
Mm-hmm.
So but you've been showing up, and I always say when people show up to Caffeine and Connections, it's an honor for me. Because I know exactly why I created that platform. So when people come and then they actually show up like more than one time, it's an honor. And the plus, it allows us to get a chance to know more about you, Jerry, and what you do, so we can then tell other people what you do, and then we can spread the word, and then of course try to support. So now we're here.
I love it.
So we can support, right?
Absolutely.
So Jerry, just like we do in Caffeine and Connections, tell us who you are, where you're from, and then tell us what you do.
Sounds good. Yeah. So I am Jerry Jones. I am from a little town about an hour and a half south of Atlanta called Warner Robins, Georgia. I don't know if Warner Robins has anything that noteworthy. We won the League World Series when I was in middle school. I wasn't on the team, but the city won it. So I guess that counts for something. The nickname for the city is Wartown, so that sounds cool. But I grew up there, born and raised there. And then since then, since graduated from college, I went from a small town to an even smaller town for college at Georgia Southern University, which is in Statesboro, Georgia. That's the sticks, Georgia. That's South Georgia. Mm-hmm. Warner Robins is in the middle of Georgia, and Statesboro is South Georgia. SOUF Georgia. And then I've been in exactly. And then I've been in Atlanta for the last 10 years since I began working. And what brought me there was I've been a financial advisor really since I've graduated. That's been a huge passion of mine. And it started when I was in college, and I thought I wanted to be a pharmacist, and I was a chemistry major, pre-pharmacy, and the classes were going fine. It was just after I had shadowed a pharmacist for, it might have been 2 hours, but it felt like 2 weeks. It was a long 2 hours. It was boring.
I was going to say, were you just totally bored? You were like, never mind.
I was bored out of my mind. To me, it was just pill counting. The pharmacist was so excited about all the machines, and
wow.
He had he was showing me this lollipop machine. I was like, is that code for something? And no, he actually was making lollipops, and I guess he put drugs in it. He was so excited about it, and I do not care. So after that, I knew I had to do something different.
Which lanes?
But in my free time in college, what really helped me was I got amongst a bunch of friends who were into personal development, and a part of personal development is one, it's growing as a person spiritually, physically, emotionally, but also from a wealth perspective as well. So I was reading, Think and Grow Rich. That's the intro to, if you really want to improve your money mindset, Think and Grow Rich. And read that book and really got into personal finance. And from that and learning more, I went from thinking that I had to be a doctor in order to be financially free, in order to have independence, in order to build wealth, I needed a doctor in front of my name, to, after doing my own research and studying, I learned that it's less about what you do as far as work, and more about what you do with your money once you make it. And that was freeing for me. And I knew I wanted to help other people do the exact same thing and come to that same realization. So got an opportunity with a company called Northwestern Mutual out of college. Started there for 7 years and went from more of an insurance focus to more retirement planning focus. And for the last about 8 of those 10 years, 9 of those 10 years, I've been doing retirement planning.
Okay. Well, so interesting that the part of the story about you, originally going to pharmacy. I think I heard it briefly one time, but just
Yeah.
hearing that the shift is so funny to me because, you have it set in you. Like, how long did you think you wanted to be a pharmacist since you were a kid?
No, not at all. So when we do the did you have to take those like career tests?
Yeah, I guess I kind of knew what I wanted to do, so I thought anyway when I was a kid. So,
So
what was the career test?
we had the career test where you ask a bunch of questions. Was like, how hard do you like to work? And it was like, do you like doing math? What's your favorite subject? I'm thinking, how hard do you like to work? And I'm in high school. I did good in high school, but it wasn't because I was just trying extremely hard. So it's like, what subject do you like?
So you were just smart.
What's your favorite thing to do at school? Eat lunch, like not be there. And so all my career tests came back, be a janitor or
No way.
be unemployed.
No.
So but I knew I wanted to be wealthy. So I said that's not going to work or like be an NBA basketball player, and I'm not good enough for that. So I wanted to be wealthy and have freedom, and the only people I knew who had that in the city that I grew up in were doctors. So I knew I didn't want to be a surgeon or anything like that. I really didn't want to be in school forever. So I thought I had a fun time in school. So I maybe could have did 4 more years, but I thought a pharmacist. I did good in my chemistry classes, and I like the thinking about it, especially the I don't want to get flagged on YouTube, but the more mental pharmaceuticals. I won't say all the stuff because stuff gets flagged on YouTube, but I like that part of.
I guess we can use our imagination.
Exactly. So you can just bleep me out. I like looking up researching opioids. And the opioid pandemic and all those things. And I wanted to be a pharmacist in a mental health hospital. That's what excited me. But they really shouldn't let 18-year-olds decide what they want to do for the rest of their life, because that is not what I wanted to do once I got closer to it.
Well, I mean, honestly, think about it like this. People literally change careers in the middle of their career. So Absolutely. It could have been, further down the road that you could have changed your mind. Either way it goes, people do it all the time.
Absolutely. I tell people a lot. So I'll mentor people and talk to people, especially people who are trying to get into finance. And the biggest thing I want to know is, man, you don't have to get it right your first career. You can change careers at 30, 40, 50. I know 60-year-olds who've changed their careers and reinvented themselves. The biggest thing is just do something that you don't have to love it, but something that you enjoy doing.
Yeah.
And then if it's something that aligns with your skills, you probably can make money with it. But you don't have to make the biggest income in the world to put yourself in a good financial position. It's just what you do with it after the fact.
Yeah, what you're doing with the money that you receive. Oh, that's good. So that's so interesting. Now in my brain, I have tons of questions.
Good.
I mean, it's like a whole dialogue that can come from that, because it resonates with me because I've been through different transitions of careers.
Uh-huh.
So like I'm not gonna share, it's not my story to share today. This is your
Will you
story
share
to
your
share.
story?
One day I'll tell you all about it. So you can be like, Dad,
Look, Angie gonna share her stories and the views gonna go up.
how many lives have you lived, Angelina?
For real.
Okay, so speaking of Georgia, because you mentioned
Oh
Warner Robins, Georgia,
yeah.
Georgia Southern. I'm wearing my Georgia,
Come
that's the
on.
state of Georgia, sweatshirt,
That's
art
art,
by
y'all.
Lord Yada. Our he's a ink specialist, a tattoo artist in East Point, Georgia. Check him out. Just look up Lord Yada. As a matter of fact,
Yeah, he's famous in Atlanta. I know several people got tattoos from him.
for those that see the logo and see the name, yeah, shout out to Lord Yada and Kimberly. So anyway, back to you. That was a plug for the homies, really
He's
quick.
extremely talented. I didn't know she was gonna be wearing a Lord Yada shirt. He's extremely talented.
Very
I knew
talented.
who he was beforehand.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, well, it's a chilly day and I'm in Atlanta, right? So I happen to be in Georgia. You're based in Atlanta, so it's all kind of in alignment today. I'm wearing a Georgia sweatshirt because it's chilly and rainy.
It is very
So
chilly.
so anyway, Jerry, so now you're in Atlanta, you're doing your thing. You've been doing your thing now for 10 years as a wealth specialist. So we appreciate you at Caffeine and Connections. And although it's interesting because few people in the Caffeine and Connections that participate are in that kind of area. I call us a power team, right? Because when you have
Hmm.
multiple people within a certain group that do similar things, when you're networking, you can actually do a lot of big things together, and especially when making
Yeah.
connections. So we love the fact that you have joined us, and especially the fact that you focus in on retirement
Hmm. Yeah,
because we don't hear a lot of that. Hmm.
yeah, it's great. I was gonna say it's really great because in that group, it's really a core of. Hopefully, I'm not leaving anybody out. Like 3 or 4 people who are financial advisors. But when you say the word financial advisor, it can mean a lot of different things. Most financial advisors they specialize in a lot of different things. But you have your investment management part of being an advisor. So what stocks are you invested in? What portfolios are you invested in? You have your personal finance side. So how much should you be saving? How should you think about debt? You have the risk management side. So how should you think of life insurance, disability insurance, and protecting yourself, your income, your family? And then you have areas that are a combination of multiple things. So with me,
Right.
it's been retirement planning. So it's investment focus, it's personal finance focus. How much do we need to save? How much do we need to how do we need to address debt? But how does it tie into it if you want to stop working at some point in time? So it's interesting because I'm 31 and most of my clients are above 50. So it's an interesting dynamic. But I just tell them, look, you want somebody who's not going to retire when you're 5 years into retirement.
I mean, but also I'm sure it adds perspective for you for when you get ready to retire.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. I think the biggest thing for that I've got personally from it, from retirement planning, is seeing what the inroad of wealth looks like. Most of us, I think a lot of people watch, most people in America, period, they're working towards becoming financially free at some point in the future, right? They're still working a job and eventually they want to stop working that job. And I've gotten to work with a lot of people who are already financially free. They're already in a place where they can stop working. But I think the biggest realization that I came to is that hitting that top of the mountain, that I'm financially free and I can stop working if I want to, hitting that, it doesn't correlate with happiness and satisfaction. Right.
Right.
I've met well over 100, I guess should be in the hundreds at this point, of people who are retired, if
Mhm.
not more, and how much money they have in the bank, how financially free they are, how many trips they can take. I haven't found any correlation between that and how satisfied and happy they are with life. But I've found other things that do impact it more. So just seeing that and seeing kind of the similarities between the people who are happy and then the similarities of people who are not happy in
Mhm.
retirement, and after they've hit that, what most people think is the peak, that's been eye opening for me.
That's interesting. So that you have like a glance right into that,
Hmm.
because you're seeing different people's situations. And I would love for you to speak on that. I'm just for the audience, really, because I think a lot of people equate happiness with money.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
they equate, joy with being financially quote unquote free.
Hmm.
But if you could give us like a, I guess like a, from your perspective, like a, what does that really look like from what you've seen?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, I think a lot of people understand, we've all heard the phrase at some point, money doesn't make you happy. So I think people understand that on some point, but people definitely think there is no saying that financial freedom won't make you happy, but it's true. Being financially free in and of itself won't make you happy. Now it'll make you comfortable, and it can give you the money to pursue things that actually will make you happy. But
Mhm.
my thing is, look, if money can't buy you happiness, if it's different things that you do that make you happy and give you actual satisfaction, do that stuff while when you're financially free. Do it when you're working towards it. Do it when you're broke. I know plenty of people who don't have anything yet. They're at the very pinnacle, ground zero of their financial journey, and are just happy, full of life, energetic. And you'll see that most people, they typically have a similar amount of happiness, unless they make some huge change in their life on the emotional and mental side. They typically have the same amount of happiness despite where they are financially. So um, I've met people who they started very low income, or they literal rags to riches, and they typically have the same level of happiness despite that. And then so I'm not burying the lead. The things that I found that actually correspond to happiness even more so than money is first having a strong self identity and sense of self.
Mm,
The second thing is having really strong and deep relationships.
yes.
The third is going to be contribution. So giving back to others in some sense, doing something that has meaning, not just for you, but for others.
Mhm.
And then health, and the health is the fuel that drives all of this.
Yes.
And then the last one is some kind of way to either express creativity or some outlet for growth. So
Yeah.
I like creative outlets like, photography, side hustles are really life bringing to a lot of people, or it could just be getting good at something, right? I'm a huge chess guy. So when I
Okay.
play chess and seeing myself getting better at chess, that gives you a sense of, it helps with the self identity part, and gives your life value and meaning.
Man, that is so good. You just dropped some gems.
Yeah,
Like
I need to take this. Go get your creative outlet while you're doing your doing your money.
I'm hoping that towards the end, like after this is over, it gives like an outline. I'm hoping it broke it down. If not, you might have to send me a list so I can type it in the description because that was good.
I'm actually working on two things. I'm working on a worksheet. I wish I had it already done by now, but I'm a little OCD with the design and stuff like
Okay.
that. But a worksheet on how to um, improve your life in those 5 areas,
Okay.
and then also a workshop. So we'll have my link if you want it when it's done in hopefully a couple of weeks. Then you can send me a message and I'll make sure I get it to you as soon as it's done.
That's perfect. So, one thing you said, and I'm going to, bring this back to Caffeine and Connections, because one of the things that, well, even outside of Caffeine and Connections, any type of business that I've been involved in, I always say is centered around the H law. H law
Mhm.
is health, love, awareness, and wealth.
Yeah, that's it.
And you said, from the five things that you listed, you said health is pretty much the driving force of all of it. So I would love for you to tell us why.
You can't do anything with health. I mean, I think health is just something it's hard to think about, and it's hard to understand its importance because you have some sense of health. You have pretty good health. The people who understand how important health are people who are in bad health. They fully understand how important health is, right?
Mhm.
People who, even on the extreme example, if you ever met someone who is physically disabled in some way, they will tell you, hey, especially people who they started fully abled and then accident or something like that, and they lost like
Yeah,
loose of limbs, things like that. They will tell you all the time, hey, don't take this for granted.
right.
But the thing with health is, with money, you can kind of go broke and get it back. With health, you can get things that affect your health and you don't come back from it.
Mm,
So for one, health is not just being sick, it's also thriving. So how do you thrive in your health? So that's physically, strength, mobility, cardio, and cardio. I hate running, I don't run, but getting your steps in, right? Something that gets your heart rate up. But it's also the emotional and the mental side of things. And I'm very glad that we're being more intentional as kind of a society of talking about the impact of mental health. But all those things play into each other. If you have strong physical health, that's really correlated with having strong mental health. Also, the other parts of H loss, so the love, having people who you love in your life, that plays into your mental and emotional health. And then to me, the emotional part, that is the key, because I think that your environment determines a lot of your emotional health. But there's a lot part of environment that you can't control. So how you were raised, that impacts how healthy you are emotionally, right? How do you deal with stress? How do you deal with conflict? Do you have trauma? So I think that I was really blessed I had two amazing parents. I'm extremely close with my brothers, good community. I didn't have a lot of trauma that I had to get through in my adult life. And
What
I
a
feel like that
blessing,
was,
Jerry. You're
it's an
blessed.
inheritance, really. But that's
That
something that
is. That
I would say
is.
that's more important than than money, getting a lot of money. Because there's people who inherit a lot of money and who are extremely depressed. I mean, it's talk about stuff that can get you censored on YouTube, but the self-harm rate for people in America is higher as you move up the income range, right? So that shows you in and of itself that money doesn't mean everything. And even, self-harm rate, Black people, there's a huge wealth gap in America. And I think we have a lot to do as a Black community on mental health. But I will say, even with the huge wealth gap and the huge wealth disparity, we have a significantly lower self-harm rate than our white counterparts. And I believe Asian Americans have the lowest of everything. But, if you look at it, Asian Americans, what are they known for? What are one of the things they're known for?
Healthy.
Having really close, healthy and having a really close-knit community.
Yeah.
Multi-generational families, really close, really strong ties, and
they build businesses together. They have a lot of togetherness, a lot of
the
unification.
wealth part. So all those things are the H law. All those things are correlated into each other. And then did you say awareness as well?
Health, yes, awareness is the A. Yes.
Gotcha. And aware. So that's you got to be aware of what your health is if you're going to improve. You got to be aware of if you want to improve your emotional health. You have to know what your traumas are, what your things that trigger you, the things that cause your emotional health to go down. You have to be aware of those things. So
self-awareness.
It's self-awareness. So it's all interrelated, and I think that's great that it's not just wealth, but it's everything on top of that: health, love, awareness on top of that.
I love this conversation so much, and I'm going to say kudos to your parents.
Yeah, kudos to them.
I have these conversations randomly with friends or acquaintances about the Black experience, right? Especially the Black family. And when the Black family is broken, especially when there's children involved, you just don't know how it's going to affect. It may have some long-term effects, it may not. You just don't know. And it's just like you mentioned, those traumas. So kudos to you and your family, and the fact that you don't have to, Lord, that is a beautiful inheritance that you're able to, you're allowing that to even reflect outwards, right? Where you can share love and your strength and all these things with your clients.
Absolutely. Because I think that it's really easy for people to one thing that I might be including this. One thing we'll do is a lot of times is we'll look at like billionaires or really, really rich people and say, well, if I had that, I would do X, Y, and Z. If I had Jeff Bezos' money, I'd be giving to the poor and all these things. But right, are we using the resources that we actually have to help other people? Right. all right, maybe you don't have Jeff Bezos' money, but you might be in better, you might have more time than Jeff Bezos. Are you sharing some of that time to benefit other people? Right. You might be in better, you might have more energy, better physical shape than Jeff Bezos. So are you using that? You might have more connections in the Atlanta community or wherever you live than Jeff Bezos does. So are you using those connections for the benefit of other people? Um, so I think it's really important to,
Yeah.
I think that my environment is a really good thing, and I want to be a good steward of the opportunities that my parents gave me. I think where I am is probably about 1% me, if not 0% me, and 100% things outside of my control. Right, the people who looked out for me, God who was looking out for me, and just the opportunities that I had. I honestly believe that most people that had my same set of parents, my same set of environment, that they would be in a better or same position as I am now. So I don't want to make light of that, and I don't want to squander that and waste that. Then I also want to make sure that I'm doing things for the benefit of others too.
Yes. You use the word as you were talking, the word stewardship kept popping up in my mind. So when you
Yeah,
actually use the word steward, I was like, exactly.
absolutely,
Exactly. Being a
absolutely.
good steward. That's what God wants us to do, especially with the things that we have been provided.
Uh-huh. And then I'm a Christian, and if you're a Christian, right, Jesus, the perfect example. He wasn't rich, he went rolling in dough, and he helped more people than anyone ever, even in his just worldly on earth ministry,
His
right? He
walk.
was helping
Yeah.
other people beyond, and you don't have to be able to perform miracles to do it, but just being human to people. There's a lot of huge amounts of loneliness in our world now. So, look, if you're a social person, if you have, especially my salespeople, because salespeople are some of the nicest people. Look, go in and hang out outside of your sales buddy. Go hang out with some people who some introverts. Get them out their shell, right? You can just smile at people and treat them human, and that goes a long way, especially in a corporate environment. If you work in corporate, if you say hey to all your coworkers, you will be one of the most liked people in that company, in that building, right? Because people don't have that warmth and that sense of connection, right? People don't have people to ask them how their day was, and how their kids are doing and things like that. So absolutely, absolutely. So steward not just your money, but steward every single
The
thing that you
resources.
have,
Yes.
all your resources.
Yes. And Jerry, you said something, that people may not be able to work miracles like Jesus, but I believe that we have that power. I believe that miracles show up in different ways. The
Mm-hmm.
same ways you just described can be a miracle for someone, because
Mm-hmm.
with how I learned with the things that I've experienced in this life, you never know whose life you could save just by being kind.
Yep.
You don't
Yep.
know, that person might want to take their life, but because they encounter you, you were that miracle that day because because of your kindness, or because of, maybe you saw somebody hungry and you
Mm-hmm.
gave them your lunch. So that's a miracle in my opinion.
Absolutely. It was maybe I am completely imagining this as far as the impact is when I left. But this was really, really small, but for some reason it stuck with me. But one day I was driving to the Gathering Spot. Shout out the Gathering Spot. It's a social club
Mhm.
in the heart of the city in Atlanta. But I was driving there and I saw this lady on the side of the street. And most of the time I don't have cash, but I just happen to have cash on me, and I gave her the cash that was in my wallet. I'm a millennial, so I don't carry cash, but I had somebody gave me cash, so now I'm trying to get rid of it. And
Okay.
I saw her and said, "Oh, I got cash," and it would have been $30. So $30, that is, I can't even take my two sons and my my wife out to eat with $30. That's nothing to
Right.
me. But she was so grateful. And I'm like, wow, that I didn't think that would make that big of a difference. But she was like really, really grateful, like trying to wave. And I was just driving red light thing and driving. I was like, man, you just never know how you can be a blessing for someone else, especially, man, if you don't have any money, just pray for them.
Yeah, I mean, again, you just never, because it's the power that we have within that a lot of people don't understand that they do have. So it's
Mm-hmm.
this, even the smallest things, or what we consider small, right? At $30 to you was small, but to the next person it could have been like $1 million.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, this is
Absolutely.
good. Well, you just mentioned your wife and your kids. So tell us about, and we're not going to talk too much about it because I know Well, we can talk as long
I
as
ain't
we
that
need.
proud. I love my kids and wife.
We hear you talk about your family, so we know that you're a family man, and you're 31. And I say kudos to you again, right? Your parents clearly set a wonderful example.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, they did.
everybody has a story. We all have different experiences, different ways that we grew up. So I'm loving hearing about yours, right? And then now, obviously, how you grew up is probably transferring over now to your family.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really interesting too. So my parents, they were married for, I think they're 35 going on 36 years. It might be 36 going on 37, but somewhere in that 35, 36, 37 range.
Okay.
They've been married for years. They had a wonderful relationship. They were really intentional about modeling a good relationship in front of us. So this might be, I'm not gonna say controversial. It's not gonna be controversial, but out of the box. But they will argue in front of us. Now they weren't yellers or anything, but they would just sit there and have disagreements in front of us. And they said it was because they need to know, we need to know, me and my brothers need to know how couples argue.
Okay.
So I thought that was really good. And then too, like whenever they argue, nobody raised their voice. My dad was very stubborn, but it was very respectful. My dad is the most, like, he will hear you out, but he is not changing his mind. He's gonna be very respectful when you talk, and you're not gonna get anywhere.
That is hilarious.
But they just set a good example, and were really loving, and they were very intentional about putting each other ahead of the kids. So I think that set a good example. And so with my family personally, I knew my wife since I was in high school. I met her when I was 14. We didn't date since we were 14, but we dated since we were 18 and all through college. And
Wow.
we got married 6 years ago. So we were 25 when we got married. And our sons are 1 and 2 now.
Okay. So that's awesome. You're 31. Y'all met when you were kids, like
Uh-huh.
14, got married just at 18, went through college together and everything. And then you waited to have the children. Sounds like you gave you all some time.
Yeah, it was good because so there's pros and cons of marrying young. The cons is you probably gonna be broke if you marry young.
Like Shannon says, you have a little lack, but you got a lot of love.
Exactly. So I had a guy who I worked with at my last job. So I mentioned Northwestern Mutual when we first started. I spent the beginning of my career at Northwestern Mutual. I joined a financial advising team there, and then I went to a team at a small, we call it RIAs, but just think of boutique investment management company. And then I left them to start my own practice at another boutique financial advising company. My current company is called IRC Wealth. So I just thought about that just now. So
We'll talk
got a
about
little ADHD there.
we'll catch that. We'll get that in.
But at my last company, one of the advisors who I worked with, he had his first kid, I think at like 42 or 43. He said he told his son, the downside is we can't chase you around, but the good side is you can go. We got you this nice private school. He was telling me that's the advantage of when you get married later in life and have kids later in life. But I think it was great because we got to spend several years dating and 2 going on 3 years of marriage before we even had kids. So you had different chapters of life. I know people who they get married, have kids instantly, and all they know is kids, and it's 18 years later, that's the first time with them. If you only having one 18 years later, it's more like 22, 23, 30 years later. It's your first time being just y'all two.
5 kids later.
Exactly. Exactly. So it's fine. And then I still feel young. So I still feel like I have time and will have some energy as I watch them grow up and can dunk on them in basketball and stuff.
Yeah, you're very young. That's awesome. So that's good that so you have that experience, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. So you said you had 2 sons.
Yeah, I have 2 sons. Yep.
Yeah.
Javon and Micah.
Okay, cool. I'm sure
Yeah.
they were proud of you, and you will in turn become proud of them because they have you and your wife as examples.
Yeah, that is the goal. I think a good goal is just to be a little bit better than your parents, and I think that's what my parents want anyway. So it's really interesting though because both of my parents, they grew up. They didn't have a bunch of money, but more so with my dad because my mom had 2 siblings. My dad had 8 siblings.
Oh wow.
Right, and then my mom had both her parents there, and then my dad, it was just his mom with 9 kids.
Wow.
So he came from where he didn't see a good example of a father. He didn't have a lot. His neighbor, I don't know how it was when he was growing up, but my dad's neighborhood is more the hood than my mom's neighborhood. So
Is your dad from Georgia too? Are your
yeah,
parents
he's from Macon, Georgia.
Macon, okay.
The young kids call Macon Macganistan, if that
Wow.
share some insight.
It can't be that bad.
It was. I remember when so Macon and Warner Robins, the city I grew up with, they're side by side with each other. And when I was growing up, they were perennially in the top 10 murder rates in the U.S.
Really? I guess small towns.
It would only be, it would be a murder a week, but at that population, that's a ton.
Yeah, because it's a smaller city. Yeah, I get that.
But it was interesting because he didn't, have that figure. But I think the biggest thing though is his mom just did her absolute best. Like my grandma, rest in peace to her, but she was the matriarch of the community. It's just everybody in the neighborhood, came to her house, called her grandma. She raised all my uncles, aunts, and my dad with great family values. My dad, he said he didn't even know they were poor until he got older.
Exactly. The lack, but tons of love.
Look, you do what you can with what you got.
Right.
So I don't think you have to have this ideal household to raise a family with love. I think an ideal scenario, ideally great. I think everybody would rather have this stable household, white picket fence. Does anybody like picket fences anymore?
What is a picket fence? I'm gonna have to Google that after this call.
I think it's the fences with the points at the top. So not the chain ones that having the Rottweilers behind them, but
I think
the wooden
my
ones.
mom's house has a picket fence. Now that I say that out loud, a white picket fence, actually.
But I think the ideal is, have this stable nucleus. But
yes,
look, that if your kids don't have that, give them the best of what you have.
Yes, yeah.
And then your kids, they'll do even better. So take the good that your parents, if you didn't have a good upbringing, all right, do the opposite of what your parents did. But if you did, look, take what your parents did, great, and then try to add to it. If you said, I do the same thing, but that whooping stuff is new slavery, then don't whoop them. Discipline your kids, though. Don't let them wild out.
The Bible says, "Spare the rod, spoil the child," or something like that. People always say that. The Bible
it does, but like people be picking and choosing because when people tell me that, I'm like, all right, well, why are you using a belt? Go get a rod. You sparing the rod too. I think in context of that scripture, it's saying discipline your kids.
I know,
not discipline your kids.
Well, shoot. Well,
black folks.
Yeah, anything. First thing they see. At least that's how it was coming up, man. I'm like, man.
Shoe cord. Why I'm getting whooped with the fan?
Oh my gosh. Lord help us. Help us. But it sounds like you're doing something different. You're doing a new thing.
Yeah. I tell my dad to his face, I'm like, man, you crazy. Like, I'm gonna try to be just like you, but not crazy. My dad used to, it would be like no rhyme or reason to his level of strict. He was really, really strict, but it would just be no rhyme or reason to it. So like, I remember one time we haven't gone out the whole year. We didn't go out that much. Our dad didn't let us go out that much, but we probably had gone months without going out. And it was my best friend's birthday. And hey, dad, can we go to Corey's birthday? We'll see. And then it's week out, we'll see. Day out, we'll see. 2 hours out, we'll see. Now it's time for the party. Nah, dad, why? And we just had I don't have nothing to do. Dad, why? He said, because y'all don't need to be hearing yes all the time. I'm like, something wrong with this, man.
It's so mean. Cold-blooded.
He had a point, but just crazy. Just take the crazy.
But you asked the whole week. He could have said, he could have said no instead of we'll see.
Or give me a reason. You don't need to hear yes all the time. He don't tell me yes all the time. So just take the crazy out. Or like, it didn't matter how much or how little we went out. We couldn't go out Friday and Saturday because we didn't need to go out Friday and Saturday. That's the only explanation that he
That's
gave.
where
Y'all don't
everybody
need to
else
be
is
going out
out
Friday and
sleeping.
Saturday.
Oh
Going
boy.
out to me, that can be like a party at 5 o'clock, right? That can be bowling. That was going out. Like that can be catching a movie on Friday and catching another movie on Saturday. We couldn't do that.
How old were you all where you couldn't do it?
Grown, grown, about near. This is
Like
all the
high
way.
school?
This was all the way up to high school. Yeah, this is all the way until I moved out in college.
Okay, so you had a kind of a strict upbringing in a sense.
Crazy upbringing. Yeah,
So,
very strict.
do your sons are still very young, but do you feel like with raising two boys, you'll be the same way?
Nah. I
Because you know
think
how that felt.
I think it's the principle. So I think the principles are the most important thing, and then the execution. The execution can kind of be all over the place if principles are right. So I think the principles is, hey, here is what I want you to value. Here's what I want you to learn. Here's how I want you to conduct yourself as a man. So if you do a good job of primarily living those things. So if you say, hey, as men, we need to be able to keep our emotions in check. Right, we don't need to be lashing out at people, and you lash out at them, right? That lesson's not going to sink. I'm just using one example, right? But if you're telling them, hey, when we're upset, we don't lash out at people, right? We don't act out in a rage, and you do a good job of demonstrating that. That's going to play a bigger role in their development than do I spank versus do I not spank? I know that's controversial, but to me, that plays more of a role, right? If I want to teach them to be disciplined, right? Whether your punishment is a week of grounding them versus your punishment is they got to go do community service, as long as you're consistent with that discipline and teach them discipline, I think that's more important than the method, right? And if you're loving your kids and giving them a healthy environment to grow up in, I think it's going to be more important than the ins and outs. I don't think that the ins and outs and the technical part of it is unimportant, but I think it just matters less in the principles that you're raising your kids as. So I'm kind of lenient, but my 2-year-old is really, really smart. So I think I'm kind of nice, but I'm
He's
starting
only
to
two,
think maybe I need
though.
to soften up a little bit.
He's only 2.
He's only 2. That kid's smart. He know how to manipulate now.
Kids, I feel like kids know how to do that anyway. They're so observant and they're sponges, especially at 2, like from 2 to 5. I feel like they're the most, most absorbent.
Yeah, if he doesn't want to do something, he'll know what to pretend in order for us to have to check on him. So my thing, it would be funny at 1.5 because he would just start throwing stuff out. My tummy hurt, my finger hurt, my head hurt. It's a bug on me. But now he knows which ones is which. He had a whole phase where he had been potty trained for months, and he would pee on himself because he knew we would have to clean it up immediately. So if he didn't want to do something, or if he was in timeout or something, he would pee on himself. And so now I'm like, man, what do I do? Can I let him sit in that pee for another 15 minutes?
This video, as long as YouTube exists, this video is gonna be on the internet forever. And he might watch this video some years later and be like, Dad, why'd you tell that story?
He too, every 2-year-old pee on. Most of y'all 2-year-olds ain't potty trained, so don't come for my son. Play that part.
Hey, you're right about that, especially boys. I feel like boys are usually late with the potty training business. So that is actually very smart and excellent. He was a quick one.
Yeah, he was potty trained at 1 something. So tell your little friends, once your little friends pull this up, tell them play this part. While they butts was wetting
y'all were
themselves.
probably still in diapers. They were probably still in diapers.
Is that in your Spider-Man diapers? He was wearing big boy underwear.
So before we go into this last section of the call, I do want to ask you this, right? Because again, your story is wonderful, right? We're sharing the story, and you talked about the kids. So because you have been in a relationship with your wife for as long as you have, I am just curious to know if you have advice to people on how to maintain a healthy, loving relationship.
I think you got to start from the start. I think a lot of people are dating people who don't like them. So I think you first need to go where you're wanted. There's a lot of people who are dating people who like their money or like their job. Date somebody who like you for you, right? Date somebody who's attracted to you. I don't really believe in the whole um if you a guy, your girl don't like you and she don't like how you look, and you just gonna keep going and pursuing and stuff, and then you get 5 years in and you gain a couple pounds and now she like you even less. So go somebody who like you, who think you're attractive. And then I think the biggest thing is dating somebody says something that's crazy, someone.
It's okay.
So I think the most important thing in a relationship, I think even more so than compatibility, even more so than interest, I would probably say even more so than what I just said about somebody who likes you, is dating somebody who treats you well, who treats people well. When I see two couples who are in a happy relationship and are in a lasting relationship, they treat each other well. So there's a lot of people who, it doesn't matter who the person is, how compatible, what the relationship is, the relationship doesn't work, because you just see that there's a lot of areas where they don't know how to treat the other person. I think that's for guys and girls, right? They don't know how to argue. They don't know how to communicate. They're not empathetic. And it's weird too, because some people are really empathetic in other aspects of their lives, but just lose that empathy when it comes to their partner or their relationship, their spouse, their boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever the case may be. They'll just forget that they have to be empathetic. That's for girls and guys. So I think that's big. And then I think that can get you through lack of common hobbies, compatibility things. I think just treating people really, really well, and the other person agrees that you treat them well, I think that is paramount. And then just having a really strong foundation beyond that. So are your values in alignment? What are their values? I think being on the same page, spiritually and religiously is really, really important. I don't think you have to be like perfectly aligned. I read my Bible 5 times a day and he has to read his 4 to 6 times a day. I don't think it has to be that, but you both know what, if you're a Christian, what a godly life looks like and what Christianity looks to you, or whatever your faith is. You got to be on the same page of that. And then the big things, kids, right? Do we both want kids? What do we want that to look like? Just some kind of common, when I say value, some kind of common vision of what you want your relationship to look like.
Good. That's good. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Hopefully you
Absolutely.
helped someone today with that advice.
Yeah, y'all stay out them dating apps. Go find somebody in person.
Hey, Dee Dee's been promoting the dating apps, finding love online.
Oh,
So
see, all right, here's what I'm gonna say. Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great point. Y'all in here just like free willing it on them dating apps. Y'all just logging on them dating apps and think y'all gonna find. Get you with Dee Dee. Get with Dee Dee. Dee Dee coming there with, hey, like people think they can just do their finances. They just gonna luck into some wealth.
you need a
People think they're gonna get on
professional.
this. Look, they think they're just gonna get on these dating apps and they gonna luck into their husband. Get you with a profession. Y'all come up with a game plan. Look, y'all come up with, here's how the profile is, here's how I'm gonna run my first date and my second date, and here's how I'm gonna reach out, and this what I'm looking for. Y'all get with Dee Dee, watch them videos, right? Because y'all out here just free spirit and think y'all gonna have a wife and a husband.
Listen, it's crazy out here. Dee Dee's videos are really good though.
They
But
really are. I checked her channel out. I like her, and then she's really good at interviewing too.
she is. She's excellent.
Yeah,
So
I
okay.
co-sign that. I co-sign that.
But not the dating apps. So, but speaking of professionals, right? You just said it. Like, people should go to people that specialize in that area, and you specialize in wealth building and retirement planning. So, again, touch on exactly like how. Let me say this. I'm gonna throw an example out here, right? And I want you to just kind of respond, which you would maybe tell that particular kind of person, right? And which you would tell anyone else that might be in their situation. And then what I want you to do is promote your website and how people can reach you.
Okay.
So let's say we have a 49-year-old, I would say federal worker, but someone, let's say they already retired from the military, but they're working in corporate America. So they have their
Mhm.
401k, they've got income coming in, they have a family, all these things. But because the economy is there's so much uncertainty, they don't know what to do. They're trying to figure it out. We know Social Security is possibly a thing of the past, or in the future a thing of the past,
Mhm.
right? So what would you say to that individual and anyone that maybe is in his or her shoes?
So I will say I was more so joking at first. I am not one of those people that's going to sound um, counterproductive. I'm not one of those people who think every single person needs a financial advisor. So, oh wow, but yeah,
But I
but
mean, you might need one.
I think everyone needs a plan for their life and a plan for their finances. And the reason I say everyone doesn't need a financial advisor is because financial advisors cost money, and then
Okay.
there's also a great deal of trust with the financial advisor relationship. So if
Okay.
you don't know anyone who you trust, and trust can come from you see that they care about the community. You have friends who vouch for them. It can be something as simple as you follow them online and you see their content, and you like the way they present, and you think they have a good heart. But I think trust is so important that I wouldn't just wholesale recommend people go find an advisor and then they go find somebody they don't like, or
Right.
someone who they are even more stressed out about their money because they don't trust that advisor.
How
Um,
expensive are financial advisors, since you put that out there?
it completely depends on the advisor. I guess if we're getting really technical, there's really three different ways that advisors make money. So
Okay.
I'll try not to use jargon, but I got to get it out of my head. So one is you just pay a fee up front. So you pay some kind of planning fee. At my last company, I was charging anywhere between $2,000 and $10,000 for a financial plan. And in that plan, you'll map out what are your goals, where are you currently, do an analysis of how much you need to save, or are you ready for retirement, and then come up with suggestions on, okay, here's some ways to save on taxes, here's some ways to make more on your investments, here's some ways to take some risks out of your investments, so on and so forth. So anyways, one of those ways is just paying an upfront planning fee.
Okay.
The second way, and I would say this is probably the most common way, is these next two are going to be the most common ones. So, is a percentage of your investment. So, if you invest, I think this one is kind of the most straightforward one. Is if you invest $1 million for something, they get 1% out of it. So, in an ideal world, you're going to get some percentage return, and you subtract 1% from that. Right. But the thing is even if the market goes up or the market goes down, you're still paying that 1%. Now, a good advisor should go up over the long term.
Mhm.
But if you invest $100,000, you're paying that 1%. If it goes down to $50,000, you're still paying 1%. So you pay a percentage every single year.
Okay.
But the overall goal is you should be making a return on your money that far surpasses your fee that you're charging. And then
Okay.
the third way is through commission. So um, if there are certain investment products where maybe you buy into a mutual fund and that mutual fund pays a commission to the people who you sell to. So you'll have these things where you might pay $100 to a mutual fund and you have to take 5 out up front because a part of that's going to the advisor.
Right.
Or then if you have insurance products, if you buy an insurance policy, the insurance company is paying some money to the advisor who sold you the product, right?
Mhm.
Health insurance works the same way, disability insurance works the same way, or you can have a combination of all three. That's where it gets tricky. Some people are against when you have a combination of all three, meaning people who they get a percentage of investments, they have some commissions, and they might even have an upfront planning fee. But I'm agnostic to how an advisor charges. I think it really comes down to what are the dollars that you're paying overall, and
Mhm.
then what is the value that you're getting. I think if you work with the right financial advisor, you're going to get a lot of clarity on your finances. They're going to help you get to your goals faster. They're going to take a lot of the worry out of the equation. I think that far surpasses my fee. And I think, for most financial advisors, I would say that's the same case.
Okay.
And then I can even dive into, for that example that you gave, the people watching this YouTube video, you're gonna have to think back to the to the example that Angie just
No,
gave.
I'll put it out there again. A 49-year-old, let's say he's already retired from the military. He has a family, but he's working now in corporate America, and he's concerned about more money because the economy is crazy, and they're talking about Social Security ending.
Mm-hmm.
How do you prepare?
Yeah, I would say the very first step is you design what type of future you want to live. I think most people, there's this quote, I don't know who said it, but it's if you aim at nothing, you'll hit it every time, right? A lot of people, they just want their finances to improve, but they don't know what that looks like, right? And their finances probably are improving on some level, but they're not feeling any better because they don't actually have a goal. They're just driving no GPS. They don't know where they're going. And then so you need to really get clear on what do I want the next 10 years to look like, what do I want to look like when I stop working, but also what do I want next year to look like, right? Maybe I'm still working, but what do I want my level of enjoyment to look like? What do I want my health to look like? What do I want my relationship with my family to look like? That's really important because once you do that, you can start putting numbers to things, right? There's a lot of people who will come in when they're retirement planning and they'll say, man, I'm really far behind. I'm really far behind. And I'm just so stressed out. And this is really, really common. I would say this is more than like 30-40% of people who I work with, and they'll be really, really stressed. And we'll go through the numbers and we're like, yeah, based on you want to do this, you want to go on this many trips, you want to live here, you want to live your same lifestyle, but just add this, this, and this. Yeah, you're already on track for that. And they're like, whoa. And they just have this exhale. But, I did something. I helped them realize that, but we didn't invest any more dollars, right? We didn't change their investment plans and they're already on track. And, if they would have just came up with a plan of, all right, this is what I want my life to be. And these are the dollars that it would cost to fund that life that I want to live. If they would have just did that, they could have left, in some cases, decades of worry. Because if you're worried about money, if you worry about money to a certain point, you don't even know what it feels like not to worry about money, right? And worrying about money doesn't just mean worrying about how I'm paying the bills, but if you're stressed about the market going down and you've been stressed about the market going down for 10 years, if you're stressed about Social Security and you've been stressed about it for 10 years, right? You don't realize how much brain power that's taken away from your day-to-day life, right? You don't know how much you can now go focus more on your relationship with your kids, how much you can go focus on work more, how much you can enjoy that trip that you're on because you're not worried about those things in the back of your head, but just because you have that level of clarity. But getting that clarity, putting some numbers to the lifestyle you want, that's step one. And then step two is, okay, if we're here and my goal is here, how do we bridge that gap? What are the steps to take? And then that can be where that might be a point where it's important to consult somebody and get their opinion, and say, okay, if I want to save X amount of dollars by here so I can fund my lifestyle, what should I invest it in? Or what vehicle should I use, right? How do I pay less in taxes? How can I do this tax efficiently? But some of it, you might not need it, right? If you get to the math and say, okay, well, if I save X amount of dollars more, maybe you can just do that by yourself. Or if you have some financial knowledge, maybe you don't need someone coming in and helping you. But secondly is, how do I get from point A to point B? And then kind of the hardest part is staying on track and not veering too far from your goal. So it's really easy once you leave that meeting to, you have a meeting with a financial advisor, and you leave that meeting, they say, hey, you just need to save $200 more and you're going to be set. It's great to be energized about that in day one, week one, the first 3 months, but then Christmas time rolls around and you got to buy presents for all the nephews, nieces, and you got to exchange with the aunties, and then it's easy to beer, and then you get a little discouraged because you didn't save that 200 this time, and then you let it slip another month and another month. So it's hard to stay on track for the long term. That's why I'm also a big fan of just automating things. The most financially successful people who I've met, most of them, I won't say most, but a lot of them, they just save automatically. I've had a lot of people who say, hey, I'm paycheck to paycheck, and they're not actually paycheck to paycheck. They just save some percentage of all their checks before they even see it, right? They're maxing out their 401ks or putting money in a Roth IRA, and they have some different other investments. and they just see after the month they have this amount and they spend all of that. But they might be perfectly fine and not actually paycheck to paycheck, but they feel like that because the money's out of sight, out of mind. So I'm a
Right.
big fan of that, just automating it. But make sure if you are on track, actually run the numbers. So if you're on track, you're not stressing like you're not on track.
Hmm.
So in summary, getting a plan. Are you on track, off track, a plan to how to bridge the gap, and then executing that plan with guidance. And then if you want my help with that, you can, LinkedIn is probably the best way to connect with me. It is LinkedIn/IN/Jerry Jones CFP.
Who was the best referral for you? Like,
So let me make sure my link was right. I might have a C in there.
we could post it in the we'll post it in the description also. So for those
Okay,
catching
perfect.
this, just
All right, I
check in
said
the
it right. It's Jerry
description.
Jones CFP.
It is okay, perfect.
Yeah, so my specialty now is I work with creative agency owners. That is my specialty, who I personally interact with on a day-to-day. So those are people who own marketing agencies, ad agencies, design agencies, basically creatives with a business, who are looking to exit their business. So for some people that means selling their business. For some people that's just dissolving. So creative agency owners who are looking to step away from their business in the next 5 years or in the next 10 years. And then if you don't fall in that category, any viewer of Caffeines and Connections, I will have a consultation with you, and I'll cover the cost of the consultation, and we'll get you on the right track. And if there's a member of my team, because I'm at a company called IRC Wealth, and we have several advisors there. So if there's another advisor with my firm or outside of my firm that's a better fit for you, then I'll connect you with them as well. So my LinkedIn, and then you can also text me at 404-906-9431.
That's awesome. So agency owners, creative agencies, is that like ad agencies when you say creative agency, just to kind of add some context to that?
Yeah, so digital marketing agency owners, design agency owners. So marketing is the biggest category, but brand agency, we all outside of the industry, we call all those marketing agencies. So brand, ad, and then people who do graphic design, people who do websites, those agencies as well. Some photography studios, some podcasters. So just creatives who own businesses.
Very cool. So that's excellent. That's like probably the first time I've actually heard someone with that niche. So that's nice to hear. So
It's
hopefully, mhm.
I was about to say, it's really interesting. It's not the typical, it's not the stereotypical industry that financial advisors would go after. So when I was first starting in the industry, it was, you go after your attorneys, your accountants, your engineers, your doctors. Those are the main three. And then you might branch out to real estate and things like that. But I just was drawn towards creatives because I'm like the most uncreative. I have the creative brain. I just don't, it doesn't execute when I start drawing or start designing and stuff like that. But I like that part of the mind. And I think expressing creativity, I think that's a big key to happiness as well. So I connect there. But the biggest thing is I think that's an underserved market.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of people who maybe if you're about to sell your business for a bit, or you just sold your agency for a lot, you'll get calls from financial advisors a lot. But there's a lot of people who are running really successful companies who don't want anything to do with the financial aspect of it, or maybe they want something to do with it, but they just don't get the finances of
Yeah.
the business. I see the most successful agency owners are the ones who surround themselves with advisors and surround themselves with experts, right? Whether it's their bookkeepers, their accountants, their IP attorneys, they're relying on the expertise of others so they can create and run their business and do what they do well.
So for all of my friends and peers out there, filmmakers, podcasters, entertainment attorneys, visual artists, friends, y'all hear it now.
And then if you are a group who serves that group, look, they are out there. They need your help. The IP attorneys and accountants who work with creatives, right? Dig deeper, double down on it because there it's not typical. I very rarely find well, not necessarily attorneys, but accountants and things who serve just that demographic or specialize in serving that demographic. But I will say it's really rewarding and fruitful if you do.
Well, I mean, and I don't know if you're connected with any of these other people because the thing is, sometimes these creatives or these creative agencies are looking for better accountants or
Hmm.
maybe better other professionals, in the lane that's not creative, right? And maybe
Hmm.
you could possibly be that hub for them. I mean, I don't know if that's something that you could do, but I think it's helpful to know someone that knows someone.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's I'm really huge on, I call it staying in my lane, but referring people to others
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
right, you don't want me drawing up your IP contract. I'm really big on that. So if they text me or reach out to me on LinkedIn and say, "Hey, I saw the show. Would love to connect with a accountant or a bookkeeper or whatever you need," just let me know because chances are I probably know a good one.
And again, you're based in Atlanta, Georgia, where there's tons of creatives. So hopefully
Absolutely.
everyone that tunes in here, they keep you in mind. That's the whole purpose of these Caffeine and Connections highlights, so you can get a chance to learn and hear their story, learn who they are, get a chance to trust them a little bit and connect.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then join us on Friday because we really have a mastermind going on the Friday group. So Angie, please make sure you put the link to that in there too, because it's a lot of good things happening in that group. It's just a really good group of people, a variety of different Black professionals, and a lot of wisdom, a whole bunch of combined wisdom in that group. People who have unique experiences, people with different backgrounds, and the common thread is the desire to do more for themselves, for their families, and then for others as well, and for the Black community at large.
Well, I was going to ask you, why do you keep coming back? But it sounds like you just gave the statement as to why you continue to come back to Caffeine and Connections.
Yeah, it's interesting too because the reason I was looking for a group like Caffeine and Connections is because I feel like for my first 8-9 years of my career was just head down focused on building my business and my practice and building something sustainable. And I feel like I'm at a point now where I can have my head up and the first 5 years is you just meeting with people so you can keep food on the table, and you're meeting with the next client, and you get to the point where you can start working more with who you want to work with as opposed to
Yeah.
thinking that you have to work with certain people. At no point was I willing to work with jerks, so I was always turning down jerks and mean spirited people. But you really can focus on, my thing was specializing, so really focusing on working with creatives and what are the struggles that agency owners go through, and business owners, and how they can make their business more profitable and increase the value when they sell, things like that. That
Yeah.
you don't really hone in on that when you're kind of working with whoever you can so that you can provide for your family.
I think that's awesome. And I'm so glad that you came over to Caffeine and Connection so we had an opportunity to connect with you. I think at this point, especially now having this one-on-one, gives me and other people who, watch this an opportunity to share,
Yeah.
your story, share who you support so we can send people to you and even possibly even get them to come over on a Friday morning at 8 a.m.
Come on,
to
y'all
to
can
the
do
meetup.
it.
Yeah. But I always say it's it's only an hour, but
Exactly. You can go
yeah,
back to sleep afterwards.
I love our community. I love the community that we've built. So Jerry, it's so wonderful having you a part of that. And I'm so glad that you were able to meet with me today so we could have this highlight.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. Thanks for one for being really welcoming and warm in the group,
Yeah.
and then running it, being really professional and strategic about how you run it as well, and making sure you're getting new members and recruiting, and people come back. So that's how you know the group is a good group. And then
Yeah.
thank you so much for letting me do a highlight. I really appreciate you taking your time and having me.
No, so glad. So glad that you were able to do this week. So again, you guys, this is Caffeine and Connections, the podcast.
Hey,
And today I was meeting with Jerry Jones. Again, I'm Angelina Griffin. And the description for Jerry is going to be there. So make sure you connect with him. That's what this is about, connecting with our people so we can continue to share and refer. We want people to refer businesses and build these relationships. So
absolutely.
until next time, you all, catch us next time. Caffeine and Connections. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.
Absolutely. Take care.
Peace and love.